Hi everybody, it's Emily. I'm here for my fourth video. I almost said fourth video. Um, and yeah, I was thinking basically talking about how I coped with being trans and how I got to where I am right now. I just actually, I feel a little, I just got back from apple picking with my friend Allie, and yeah, it was a fun time. So I felt like I'd just make this now before I go out and do my other adventures for the day. Overall, when I found out I was thought about being trans, I was like 5 or 6. It started pretty young for me. It just like the normal things you usually hear, I guess. Jealous of my sister. Like I had a younger sister. She was about a year younger. And I mean, I love her to death. I was lucky actually to have her because I could, sneak around and use her makeup without her knowing. And yeah, it was just hard, but I mean, of course it was. And I kept doing little things like that. I'd come home from school and try on clothes or, do my makeup and stuff like that. But then in like high school, I tried to hide from it. And I tried my best to like just kind of like blend in and like be there, know people, but not be like the center of attention. That was kind of my thing in high school. It was very hard for me. I first opened up to a girlfriend I had at the end of high school, which, I mean, for being 16 and, your boyfriend you're dating at the time comes out to you as wanting to be a girl, it's not easy. And I thank her for at least being as helpful and as understanding as she could be at that time. She's a great person. So, also, so at that point I was about to go to college because that was towards the end of my high school. In college, I definitely came out a little more. I came out to a very close friend in high school. I told her about what was going on, and she was very accepting, probably more than I was to myself at that point. So it was very hard to oh, wear this tiara, and like I'd be like, no, and like, yeah. So it was hard, but throughout college, I tried to come out a little bit more. I ended up dressing for the first time in college as an adult. Like, not the last time I had dressed besides that, I was like 13, and I like tried to stop myself. I also dated a girl at one point in college who I'm very close to still, and is like one of my dearest friends. And me and her, like, she was very accepting to the point where she would help me and do stuff, and it was very, very good, and it just really helped me and feel more confident about myself. And I think she could see how much I enjoyed it in general. And obviously this did not shock her whatsoever when this was brought to her attention that this would be happening now. But yeah, overall though, how I came out so far, I'm not out completely. At work, I am not out yet. And into one half of my family, from 2 weeks from now, they will find out. And I will give an update on that when that happens. But I will be coming out in December/January before Christmas to my work. And then I'll be full-time all the time. Right now, my parents know, and my mother's side of her family knows, who are probably watching. Hi. So I'll skip ahead to the main part, which probably is the most important part, how I actually started to decide to transition. And this was not an easy thing for me. I was very scared I was going to lose my family, friends. I was terrified of it, actually. It was probably what held me back the most. I use the old age excuse as well. I'm like, oh, I'm 29, almost 30, it's not going to work, it won't have any effect. Obviously that's not true. So, how this all started though, was when I first got my job in Boston. I needed a roommate. I was traveling back and forth from New Hampshire to Boston, and it was a long drive. It was almost 4 hours altogether. It was a pain, and it wasn't worth it, even though I loved my job. So I met my roommate when I worked at a movie theater in New Hampshire, and my roommate's name is Ray. He is female to male, transgender. And at that point, he was dealing with the same issues as I was. He was deciding whether or not he should transition, whether he was trans and stuff. Like me, probably a little less than me. I was really pushing it off. Like I didn't think that this was a choice for me. I couldn't do this. But we ended up becoming roommates, and in Boston. And just as it went on, it became a safe place to actually do what I needed to do and be who I needed to be. And as like the months went on, I definitely noticed how much happier I had become just in those little spots at home, and how I didn't want them to end. I didn't want to have to go to work. Work almost has become dreadful for me. Like at this point, especially, I feel like at work, I'm portraying this other character that's not me, and I don't get to be me until I get to leave. So it's definitely hard, and as that started progressing and getting worse, I decided that I really needed to do something about it, and it was a lot of hard thinking about it. And then finally I started to go out and explore, and then finally decided that I was going to transition. In regards to my parents, that took a little while. I actually had gotten my letter for HRT from my therapist at that point. By the time I told my mother was the first person I told. I told her in November of last year, and she took it as best as she could. It was very hard for her, and more so she just didn't understand what it meant, and didn't understand how it felt, and for the most part thought maybe I could just not all the time, just do it not around certain people or stuff like that. But I had to emphasize that no, this is just this is how it needs to be. Like I can't do that. I need to be myself all the time so that I'm always happy. I don't want to do that. So I wrote a letter, an email to my mother, and described all this. And obviously, I was accepted, and everything worked out. My father just found out this past summer, because I had been on HRT for a few months at that point, because I had gotten my HRT in March, and when he found out, I was on about 4 months, and I knew the changes would start, and I knew this was going to be a hard person to tell, at least for myself. So I did it, and I got acceptance with open arms, and that was very, I don't want to say shocking because that sounds kind of bad. I was surprised, and a little bit, and I expected the worst, and I got the best, and I couldn't ask for anything greater, to be honest with you. For the other side, my mom's family, they found out through a letter I wrote through my parents, which is what, I guess, the way my mom wanted to do it, and I accepted it, and that's fine. She wanted a chance to explain things to her family, and I thought that was okay. And so I wrote a letter to go with them, and I got total acceptance. No one has more than I could possibly imagine, so it means the world to me. And my dad's family will find out soon. Like I said, my grandmother passed away, so obviously she can't know, and that does hurt a lot that especially someone I was so close with, can't know. And overall, I feel like she would have accepted enough to me, so I think I know where that was. I feel like overall I've been very lucky with the support system I've had, especially with my roommate being female to male, and me being male to female, just both being transgender, and just knowing what each other are going through a little bit, at least somewhat, so we can help each other out and support each other. That has meant a lot to me, and I think has definitely pushed me and helped me make this decision a lot easier, and just kind of made everything kind of go forward easier. Easier. I can say easier a lot, right? But so like I said, I'm at the point where work is going to find out in January, and I'll be 100% out, and I feel like that's gonna feel really good. Right now I feel like I'm just kind of in the wind, which it's where it is right now. Being I work for a school, I'd like to do it between semesters and stuff like that. So it's something I actually do have to wait for. And I've been working out with the school. They didn't have a plan or anything. I'm trying to help them out. They want to be accepting. They want to be as much as they can. So we are working it out, and it's even early. I mean, it's a few months now until this actually happens. So it's definitely good that we're taking the time ahead of time. We're working this all out, and yeah. So I hope you enjoyed this. If you guys have any questions about yourself or me or anything in general, let me know. I'll be back next week, of course. And yeah, I hope you guys have a swell week, and bye.